Hey, who's you talking?
I'm gonna need you guys to be quiet for a little while.
Yeah, okay.
Can you do that?
Why won't it?
And I apologize in advance because we have little kids running around, so if you hear strange noises, that's why. Tonight I told you guys I was going to go over branding and then over social media, because obviously, like, this is the secret sauce of your business. I've built pretty much my entire business the past 11 months through Facebook, so learning these things is going to be really helpful to you. And I know some of you guys have done Emerald to Diamond or Coach Basics trainings, and they touch on these topics, but I know that sometimes you guys need a little more help with it. And after I go over this, I'm going to let you guys ask a couple questions before Taryn and I quickly go over Success Partners. So when it comes to branding, basically you're going to want to think about the top 5 things that you feel most describe who you are. And you're going to try to build all your posts around those things. So things that I wrote down for examples are fitness, cooking and nutrition, faith, family, fashion, financial freedom, growth or like evolving as a person, personal development, and your passions, your hobbies, or your interests. Because first of all, you don't need to worry about trying to please everybody. I think when I first started coaching that I was worried about how I would be relatable to every single person that would see my posts. And first of all, you don't want that to happen, because there's a lot of people that you're going to attract that are not like you if you're not true to who you are. So you want to be aware that it's really important to be genuine in what you're sharing. And it's going to help you to master who you attract towards you, because what you put out there is basically what you're going to get back. So think about what you like to see when you go on Facebook. You know, what certain coaches that you follow, what attracts you to them, and you know what is in you basically that attracts you to that. And maybe those are things that you can start to share more. So basically, to start, if you have no idea what your brand is, pick and write down those 5 things that you feel, most well describe who you are and what you're about. Some great people to follow that have basically mastered the art of branding. For example, Colleen Eddy, she's awesome. She knows her brand to a T. She lives in South Tahoe, California. She loves where she lives. She posts a lot about nature. She's very passionate about fitness. She's very passionate about her fiance. She's extremely, extremely passionate about talking about mindset. And if you go through, you can basically scroll down her entire Facebook and see that all of her posts relate to those topics. And that is a great example of what branding is. So, I had written down that if when you're going to create a post, if it's not something that's in the realm of your brand, it's probably better not to post it. And this isn't to say that, sometimes things go on in your life that you feel like you need to share, and that's fine. But for the majority of the time, you really need to be consistent with this, because especially long term, people are following you, so they need to grasp who you are. There's a lot of people that might follow you for very long periods of time before they ever reach out to you. So they need to get a grasp of who you are. And a good exercise for you to see where you're at with branding and what you can improve on is if you go to your Facebook page, when we get off this call, and you scroll through the last 10 posts that you've made. And kind of gauge, were they something that was inspiring? Were they something that could evoke emotion? Were they something that would, be a call to action for somebody to want to change? And go through your posts and see if the content of them is quality. And also if you feel like it's something that's really genuine to the person you are. not saying to delete them if they're not, but it's just a good reference to be, more aware of what you're posting and how you're projecting yourself, because basically you are creating yourself as who you want to be as a Beachbody coach. And that's what's kind of cool, because if there's things that, you don't like about your story or your past, you can kind of reinvent yourself and, put out there who you want to be and who you are now. So, like I said about following people that have mastered the art of branding, I'll post a list in the team page of people that are really good to follow who've gotten this down. And I wanted to mention to you that the products are already branded. So Shakeology, 21 Day Fix, T25, Insanity Max 30, those programs are already branded. You need to realize that your branding is branding yourself. You're learning to sell yourself. People are not going to come to you because, they want a product. They're coming to you because they're attracted to something about you. So you have to look at it like you're learning to sell yourself, not a product. We are not salespeople. We share what has worked for us and what has changed, our lives, whether it's physically or financially, mentally, whatever it is. That's what you want to be focusing on sharing. So I wrote down a couple keywords that are things to think about with branding and what you're sharing in your posts. And it was, you want to inspire, you want to share your passions, you want to evoke emotion, you want to share your struggles, you want to inspire people to take action, you want to share your journey, and you want to make sure you're adding value, and that your posts are quality. I wrote down some things that are examples of things that you shouldn't do, that are don'ts. Don't copy somebody else. If you see a post on a coach's page that you really like, don't share it, because that's not having people relate to you. It's having them relate to them. If it's something that you feel really is a lot similar to how you feel about something, you can totally be inspired by a post and make it your own. But don't copy paste somebody's words. Don't steal people's pictures. We had a coach on our team a couple of months back that was doing things like that, and it made a lot of people very unhappy. It's very icky. Don't steal people's, ideas when they work very hard to come up with these things. So, what did he do? Sorry, we have babies crying. There are no shortcuts when it comes to this. If you want to build a successful business, it needs to be built on quality. It needs to be built on you being genuine. You are not going to be able to fake it till you make it for very long if that's what you're doing. So if you don't really feel like you know what your brand is, you might want to take some time, soul searching. And a great way to do that is personal development. I've learned so much about myself that I was never even aware of, or never even cared to be aware of, before I became a Beachbody coach and really decided to look at those aspects of myself. So if it's hard for you to come up with 5 things that you feel like are true to who you are and that you want to share, it might be, time for you to sit down and do some journaling or do some reading or do something that helps you, figure out who the person that you are and what you want to be sharing. Got it? And also I wanted to say, I mentioned consistency before, but you really don't want to undervalue consistency, because say I were to stop posting for a month, it would be extremely hard for me to get back what I lost in that month by people following my posts or sharing my story or sharing my progress doing Max 30. If you're not consistent with these posts, people aren't going to feel like you're somebody they can go to, because they want to see that, that you're somebody that they can trust and that you're somebody that knows what they're doing, or at least they're being open and honest about their struggles or their journey. And also, it's just, don't get discouraged. Don't judge whether your posts are good or not depending on likes or comments, because In the beginning, when I started coaching, I got no likes and no comments on everything, and I still kept doing it every single day. And over time, it's like a funnel, you know. And Facebook has a thing called edge ranking. So the more that your posts are getting commented and likes on, the more people that are going to see it in their news feed. So that's where it's really important that you want to make sure you're sharing value so that people do comment and like on your post, so that it filters so more and more people see it. It's totally the compound effect. And if you haven't read that book yet, that's what you need to read. I briefly wanted to go over, well, probably not so briefly, but utilizing social media. And Facebook is going to be your major platform for sharing on social media. And if you are not sharing on social media on Facebook, this is something that you need to start doing today, because you're really hindering the ability to grow your business. Jab, 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 Right Hook is a really great book that goes over all of social media platforms and kind of goes into the depths of sharing on them. So if you're kind of struggling with that, that might be a good book for you to think about getting. Something Colleen Eddy told me when I first started coaching was share all of your story. Don't just share the perfect parts. Don't just share when you have good days. It's okay to share when you're struggling. It's okay to share, something that's not so happy in your life, but you should always do it with some kind of positive intent that shows that, you're working on it, that it's not just a venting kind of a thing. It's the consistency has to be with the positivity as well, because if you're somebody that's, one day you're, oh my God, my workout, it was so great and I feel so good, and I love coaching, and I just, I love the challenge group I'm in, or whatever it is that makes you happy. And then 2 days later, you're sharing something, I hate my life, I'm stuck in traffic, I was late to work, I spilled my coffee, whatever. People are not going to be able to follow that if it's not a consistent thing. So be aware of that. But we're all human. Like I said, we all have struggles. It is okay to share those things. You'll learn how to share them over time. Be vulnerable and be authentic. Don't be afraid to get a little out of your comfort zone and share things about your story that people have no clue about, or that you're afraid to talk about. It's a very liberating thing when you're able to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, and you'll probably be very surprised about the support that you get when you do. Because there's a lot of people that don't have, they're not brave enough to share things like that. And when they see things like that about you, it allows them to relate to you and see that you are a real person and that you do struggle. And it really allows them to relate to you on a deeper level than just, your typical post. So another thing that's really important is to be creative. Kind of think outside the box. You don't want to be posting the same things over and over, whether it's a picture of you drinking your Shakeology or, a picture of you working out. You want to think about switching up what you're posting. And that's something that you can learn from following others as well to get ideas. But to switch up your content and to always just kind of be aware of the attractiveness of your posts and that they're professional. If you have a junky camera on your phone and the picture that you're taking is blurry and nobody can see it, don't bother posting it, because nobody's going to stop and look at that. This is your business. If somebody was running an ad in a newspaper, they would not put something in there that looked crappy quality. So don't do that to yourself and put things on Facebook that are not of good quality. And when it comes to, you want to switch up your posts, obviously, over time, short versus long posts. Sometimes I write ridiculously long novel type posts, and sometimes I write really short and sweet ones. You want to switch it up as well. And a good thought when you're writing long posts is if you break paragraphs into chunks, because it's much easier to read And people are much more drawn in to read things like that when it's small little increments versus one big, huge, long paragraph. Because I don't know if you're like me, but when I see that, I'm kind of like, I might read the first 3 sentences and then I scroll right by it. So if you break it up, it'll definitely help stop a scroll. Also, if you're giving things of free value, like you're giving, you're giving advice, or you're picking something that you're eating and you're telling how it can, what benefits it has for nutrition, things like that, or you're deciding to run a free group. Anything that can add value to your customers for free is going to help you majorly in the long run. I've been running healthy eating on a budget groups for, I want to say 5 months now. And although not a lot of people have signed up as customers, it's allowed me to build a lot of relationships with people. And this is a giving business. You want to give as much as you possibly can, and it will pay off in the long run. 2 big things: don't be salesy. That's icky. Nobody wants to go to your page and see you say, "Hey, I sell Shakeology, buy it for me." Don't do that ever, please. And also, don't post stock photos. Don't go to teambeachbody.com and take a picture of the 21-day fix and the containers and the Shakeology bag and just go post that on your wall. Because then you look like an infomercial. You are not an infomercial. You are a coach with a story. You are human with feelings. You have things to share with people. Don't discount yourself by putting up a stock photo like that. And in the long run, basically what I want to say is this consistency of sharing on Facebook is going to pay off for you. I don't know, what would you say, Taryn, how long it took for you to people to start coming to you?
It takes a little while. It definitely does. And I mean, in the beginning, I had a few close family members, friends who sort of came to me. But now, I mean, me and Dana have done this for, I think I signed up maybe like a month after her. So we're both almost in this a year now. And I now have people who just this week are messaging me, "Oh, so-and-so told me to get in touch with you. And I know this," people that I don't even know have messaged me this week. So that to me was sort of a huge moment where I realized that the work that I've put in and being consistent, like Dana's talking about, and sharing your own story is hugely, hugely important, guys. So this is definitely advice. Dana is awesome. You guys are so lucky to have her as your fearless leader. So take this amazing advice because it's so spot on. And you can clearly see when you look at Dana's post who she is. And I feel like I've found that niche with myself too, where I feel like if somebody comes to my page, they're going to see who I am. They're going to see I'm a mom. They're going to see I'm a coach. They're going to see that I'm somebody who just wants to inspire people. And that's sort of where I feel like I'm evolving to. And you'll all notice that as you go, your brand will become more strong and more evident to yourself. So just keep going and stay consistent for sure. And if you're lacking inspiration one day, open up a book, open up a personal development book, plow through Google and find a motivational quote, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you find that fire again. So when you have those days where you're lacking, because we all do that, and you'll feel that spark again, because you guys are all doing this because you're passionate. So don't let that burn out.
The other thing I wanted to mention about consistency that Taryn was kind of saying, I want to say it took at least 4 or 5 months for people to start coming to me. And now next year it will have been a year, and my inbox is blowing up all the time, at least once a day, with somebody who's been following me, somebody who I've talked to in the past that is finally ready. I mean, I have a lot of success with the follow-ups, but often those follow-ups are starting to come to me now before I even reach out to them again. But there's a lot of people that are following what you're doing, and they may just not be commenting or liking on your posts. So, don't feel like you're putting yourself out there for no reason, because it is going to pay off in the long run. I had mentioned about Instagram as well, and I'm not really going to go over that on this call too much tonight, but to get a good idea of somebody who's good to follow on Instagram, take a look at Chelsea Blush. Her name is Chelsea Pearson. I believe she's a 5 or a 6-star diamond coach now. She's really awesome. She's super vulnerable. She puts herself out there. Even on her Facebook, she put up a picture today of, she's doing the 3-day refresh, and she's not in the perfect shape, and she puts herself out there. She is just all her. She is not ashamed. She, loves who she is, and her intent is to help others. And she's a really, really awesome person to follow, to be inspired, to just, get out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there. What time is it right now? Does anybody have any questions about branding or social media before Taryn and I touch on Success Partners? Anybody?
I have one question.
Yes.
When you said that the more people that like or comment on your post, the more it shows up on other people's feeds, is that what, is it a good idea to tag a lot of people for that reason every now and then if you're like having a slow time?
It is a good idea. I'm sure you guys notice, but when it's something that's, Beachbody related, sometimes I tag all my coaches in it. And it's not just for my benefit. It's also for you guys, because then people are seeing things on your wall. They're seeing what you're involved in, what the team's up to, that you're, involved in something really positive. So definitely, if it's something, even if it's a recipe or something you feel like people would like, you can totally feel free to tag people in it. But it's kind of, you have to look at it like a funnel effect. It's going to start happening more and more and more and more, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow over time. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, if you guys don't have any questions, I am going to let Taryn talk for a few minutes. I have stressed you guys multiple times about the importance of Success Partners. When I started coaching, my upline directed me to a girl as a Success Partner. We talked probably twice. She fell off coaching after 3 weeks. I was kind of like, uh-oh, what do I do now? I got connected with a guy on my team, and, neither one of us really had any idea what we were doing, so it was more just bouncing post ideas off each other for a while. And Taryn and I ended up running a Coach Basics together, and we clicked, and that's what you want. You want somebody that you click with, somebody that you can relate to, somebody that's working at the same pace as you are, so that you can set goals and you can push each other. You're going to be setting your own, but you want to be sharing them for that accountability. Obviously, if I'm your upline, I want you to be sharing those things with me, but a push partner is just somebody that you should feel like is always there. Like Taryn and I talk every single day, probably way too much, but we're very productive together. We text each other our goals every single night. We text each other when we get Success Club points, and we're just kind of each other's biggest cheerleaders. And when I have a really shitty day, Taryn, pulls me back and says, it's okay, tomorrow's a new day, whatever. Same thing if, she's having a bad day, and they're so important. If you are really feeling like this is what you want to do long term, you need to find somebody like this. And you don't have to have them from this team. It can be anybody. Reach out to anybody and team drop the cookie. Find somebody that you feel like you connect to.
Do you have cookies?
No. I don't know if everybody heard that. She just asked if I have cookies.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, so like Dana said, we are Success Partners, and it happened just like she said on such a whim. We were both thrown into teach and coach basics together. And the first day that we both found out we were doing it together, we talked, and it was one of those conversations where it was just like we both just instantly like just knew that we had the same ideas about what we wanted from this business, and we had the same drive and we had the same push. And the best thing I feel like about having a success partner, especially one who has the same motivation as you, is that I have days where I would be quick to say, okay, you know what, I'm just going to do that tomorrow, or you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that today. But then when I have Dana, who will then sometimes just message me and be like, oh, I just followed up with 10 people, or, you know, I just, you know, rallied with some of my coaches, it gives you that instant boost and gives you that, you know, motivation to push yourself. And that's the whole thing of it. And we like to call ourselves push partners because that's what we do. Even on our hardest day, it's like no excuse, like keep going. And it has helped me push myself harder than I would ever push myself. So definitely, and just like Dana said too, it doesn't matter if they're on your same team. I sort of have a weird situation with where I am on my team. My upline doesn't really work the business often. She's sort of sporadic, and her upline is Keith Callahan. So I'm sure you guys all know who he is from the trainings that you've been in. So he doesn't really have that, you know, small team structure anymore. So I never had a weekly Zoom chat like this from my own coaches that I could go on to. I never really had that home-based foundation. So I was very thankful to find Dana, and she, you know, graciously feeds me information that she learns, and, you know, vice versa. So sometimes it's nice if you have a partner who's maybe not in your direct line, that is someone from, you know, another team or organization, so you can really learn from them and inspire each other in different ways, and you'll both bring different things to the table. Dana and I work well together too because we're both moms. We both live very similar lifestyles, so that's super important too. You want to find somebody that you have that personal connection with, somebody that you know you can trust and be fully honest with. So if I have something that I'm thinking of, I won't hesitate to ask for her opinion and be like, listen, give it to me straight. And I know she will. I never doubt that. So that's also super, super important. I think that's really it. It's just a matter of allowing yourself to really have that connection and to have goals that you can share and put on paper. Like I know Jeanette is one of my coaches, and she's on this call, and she is really like my first coach who I feel like has the passion like I do for this business. So it's so awesome to have that and find that. And I know that we can push each other too. So you find it, and you'll have different relationships with so many different people in this business. So that's my biggest advice. Find that one person that you really know you can share your goals with, but then make those connections with as many people as you can, because you can never have enough inspiration and motivation to keep yourself going. So I think that's it, my dear.
Thanks, Taryn. I missed most of that. Declan was chucking things at the other baby. So, do you guys have questions about success partners? Do you all have success partners? Yes. Can you raise your hand if you have? Oh my God, Kelly, Aiden's in a diaper box. Can you see him? Oh, this is great. Do you guys all have success partners? Hands up. Yes.
He just got a tent and he's sitting in a diaper box. I just want to say that.
It's like Declan playing with Dixie cups. Okay, Jocelyn, we'll work on finding you one. I'm trying to think who else in the team needs one. Who?
Christina.
Oh, Christina needs one. And you guys are both pretty new, so perfect. Okay, do you guys have any other questions about any topic? Because I think we have like 5 minutes left before we get cut off. Aiden.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So should I make my Facebook page public because I have my Facebook private for certain reasons, or should I make like a separate page that can be public?
I personally still have my Facebook set as private. My son's father is crazy, so is his family. So I have made a very conscious choice not to make my page public. The majority of coaches do have their Facebooks public because that way when somebody likes or comments on your post, it will show up on the news feeds of their friends. So it can kind of be progressively, faster for you to build a network that way. It's just been a little bit more work for me to build my network, having it be private, but it's not been an issue for me. I'm very consistent in adding about 5 people to my network every day. So if you're consistently adding, I wouldn't worry about it too much if you have personal reasons that you don't want it to be public.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome. Kelly, you're awful quiet.
I have one. If you have, since we now all pretty much have like pages and public and our regular Facebook pages, is there a difference in content that you recommend? Or I just feel like I'm struggling with like what I should put over there and what I should put on my page.
That's all new to me too. A good Colleen Eddy is really, really good with her like page. And also, I don't know if you know the name Mel Yakonis. I'll post her name in our page, but she's really great with her like page. She's from a different team, but a lot of the content they share is pretty similar. But they share more things that are just personal on their Facebook page, whereas you're not really sharing anything too personal on your like page. It's more business oriented or challenge group invites. It's more direct. You don't have to be so worried about being crazy salesy on your Facebook when it's on your like page, because that's the intent of a like page, is for it to be for a business. So it allows you a little more freedom, when you're thinking about posting stuff that might be salesy on your regular Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And two, just to add to that, the people who like your business page want to hear, what you have to say about Beachbody. Whereas if you already have 1,000 friends before you became a coach, some of them might get annoyed if they see you posting. And really, that's a whole other topic of the haters and all that. We don't have to get into that right now. But the people who like your like page, want to see that. And that's what they liked that page for. They want the information that you can give them. So definitely share it there.
Yeah. Very true. Anybody else? We have 2 minutes left. No?
I guess not.
Do you have questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you guys all for getting on. Stay tuned tomorrow. We have a super big announcement that I wish I could say right now, but I can't. Lots of exciting things going on in this team. And if you think about any questions that you missed while we were on the call, feel free to post them anytime in the page, and I'll get you a response. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.